Welcome to another episode of The Artsy Raven, a show about writing and publishing with your host, J.F. Garrard.
Welcome to another episode of the Artsy Raven, and today we are talking to the organizers of the Whistler Film Festival. Angela Heck has spent more than 20 years in Canada's screen-based media industry and has been involved with the Whistler Film Festival, WFF, since its inception, now serving as its executive director, overseeing all festival programming and 15 talent programs. Before joining WFF, she held senior roles at the National Screen Institute, CBC Manitoba, the National Film Board, and other leading cultural organizations. As a producer, her work spans global adventure projects and acclaimed documentaries, including In the Shadow of the Chief, which took home the People's Choice Award at the Whistler Film Festival in 2003. Robin Smith is the Director of Programming for the Whistler Film Festival and CEO of Blue Ice Docs Incorporated, a company dedicated to financing and distributing top non-fiction films from around the world. With over 30 years of experience across major organizations, including the National Film Board of Canada, Alliance Films, Lionsgate Film, and Level Film, he has also served as an advisor to festivals and media companies such as VIF and Vortex Media. He previously programmed the Hot Docs Ted Rogers Cinema for the first decade and has overseen notable releases including Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Blackfish, Up the Yangtze, and Katie. Welcome.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the Whistler Film Festival for those that are not familiar?
Sure. I'm just in awe of Robin's bio. Just have to put that out there, which is good because we're so lucky to have him as our director of programming. The Whistler Film Festival is celebrating its 25th year this year, and it's an important milestone for any film festival. But we really are the little film festival that could. We have had an illustrious history of welcoming some of the most amazing Canadian talent that if you go back and you say who was with us at the beginning and where have they moved on to, you can really see an incredible trajectory there. The festival itself takes place over 5 days. We have an incredibly robust industry program as well. So we really do welcome a lot of the Canadian and global screen industry. And as you mentioned, we've got talent programs that really nurture the talent in advance of the festival. They come together at the festival to take advantage of all of the industry decision makers that are there. And we hope that they get some deals made that will then allow them to come back and screen the films at the festival. So we do a lot within the context of the Whistler Film Festival.
Okay, about how many films are screened at the festival?
Well, this year we have 107 in total, and that's a combination of features and shorts. So breaking that down a little bit, 30 of those are features and the rest are shorts. Um, our festival is really very unique in so many different ways. I mean, I've been to so many Canadian festivals, but Whistler's just so immensely special because it has this cocktail DNA mix of so many different strands of type of films that our audiences respond to. So, we obviously show our special presentations, which are, sort of Oscar type movies, international films from that have made their premiere at festivals around the world. But where our key backbone is the Borso competition, which we've been doing for years, which is a very prestigious award for the best Canadian feature. We have an insanely robust shorts program, as I just mentioned. I think we could be, and please don't quote me, someone will fact check me on this. I think we have the largest shorts program for a non-short film festival in Canada. We've obviously have documentaries. We've sort of boosted that up because our audience has responded a lot. And because we're in the mountains, we do a lot of mountain culture, which is funny. I'm from Toronto originally, and when I first came out here, I think my first question to Angela was, "What is mountain culture?" Because I was trying to get my head around what exactly that was, and I'm still understanding it because it seems to be a loose term that can describes ski films, but it can also be any sort of sports. It could be cave diving, it could be, sailing on an ocean. Either way, it's basically nature versus humankind type idea. So we do really well with that. And Vanessa Tam and Haley Gray, who are the two other programmers, I do want to give them big shout outs. They're just amazing. Haley does the shorts, Vanessa works on the mountain culture. So it's this incredibly fun mix, and every year, this is my second year doing it, we're trying to find new little elements that are going to engage and respond with our audience here. As you know, Whistler is, dare I say, location, location, location. It's a beautiful spot, and we're so lucky to be running a festival here. And just trying to understand what the audiences here want and sort of engaging with the community is been the challenge right from the day one for me, but it's also been something I'm really loving, and it's sort of feeling come year two, we're sort of tuning in a little bit more to what is Whistler, so to speak, on screen, as well as representing, what is, Canadian cinematic voices across the country and what are international voices in the cinematic world too. So it's a really fun sort of blender of all these things. Challenging, because we only have so many slots and there's so many great movies, but I think this year in particular, our team did an amazing job.
Now, how are films chosen? Like, is there like a mandate or a criteria or something you're looking for?
We put them all in a bingo wheel and we pull them out. I wish it was that simple.
There's a lot of different factors
It's
that go into it, but one of our key criteria is like we're here to promote Canadian talent.
yeah.
That's a baseline, but also to respond to the audiences. Robin is actually the master mixer there.
Yeah, I mean, I would never call myself a master because I'm always learning. But I mean, it's an arduous process. I mean, we open submissions and we get a lot of submissions that come in, both short and features from all around the world. We enlist a team of programming, companions who come in and help us pre-screen a lot of films, and then we sit down and we watch everything we possibly can as well. It's not just the submissions. We also go out and search and look for films. A lot of it starts right, to be honest, like about 8 months out from the festival when we start talking about what do we want to do this year, and what are we searching for? What did the community last year say they wanted or responded to? So a lot of it's reactionary, and then of course you have to look at the marketplace and just see also what the talent, as Angela said, our priority is Canadian talent, and what are the Canadian talent doing right across the country. But specifically, we do a lot of focus on BC itself. So it's interesting. It's a moving target all the time. And, one day perhaps we'll get close to getting it right. But every day, every year, we're making educated guesses, with the help of just so many amazing movies that come across our desk. I think our biggest problem is always we just don't have enough slots to program everything that we see. We fall in love with so many films that we just can't bring to our festival, which is the most heartbreaking part of the job.
I think it's also interesting that every year there's certain themes or, different kinds of movies that bubble up and you can never really predict because it's always responding to what's actually being made. Last year we had a ridiculous amount of music related content. And we were embarrassed by the riches that we had with that. This year we're seeing a lot more genre.
Yeah, it's I mean we could sit down and write essays in regards to why our industry is going that way, but it is really fascinating. And that to me is the selfishly fun part of the job, is also getting a sense of where the market's going and how audiences are responding to it. It's every day I will always say that I'm sort of educating myself more and more in regards to how our industry works and what our audience is looking for.
Now, your festival started in 2001. Have you seen any major shifts in the mission or any changes since like at the beginning till now?
It's
Are you
actually quite profound. And you're anticipating my opening night speech. When the festival started in 2001, they were really a showcase. You came in, you shared a film, and a large group of people, and were captivated by the magic on screen. And what's really happened in the last 25 years is that festivals have become much more a part of the ecosystem. So when I mentioned that we have the industry components coming in, we have panels and discussions around that. They're also highlighting the way that the industry has changed in 25 years. So the technological pieces are obvious. When you're in it, you're trying to adapt, and think about where technology was 25 years ago. Like Facebook hadn't been invented yet, right? This year we're having the conversations around AI. So the technological pieces are very profound. Where are people consuming content? Are they coming out to theaters? Are they in their living rooms? Are they together? Are they as individuals? Like those are all things that impact the role of a film festival. Though what we do really well is curate an experience, and it is an experience as well. But we curate that, and we're always looking for new, discovering, promoting, really amplifying that talent that is part of our industry.
Okay, now your festival has a talent program. So how does that work?
There's actually, in any given year, there's up to 15, and they are really talent incubators for creators. So we have an example is our Screenwriters Lab, which, of course, nurtures writers. We start that about 7 months in advance of the festival. We have incredible mentorship that goes along with that. And by the time people have gone through the program, they are coming to the festival with a really fully developed script. They know how to pitch. They really have a lot of tools to make the most of their festival and industry experience. This year, we also did a producers lab that we focused on international co-production, and we were privileged enough to partner with friends and organizations in Ireland. So we started that lab at the Galway Film Fleadh, which is very much like us, but in Galway, Ireland, and really had a really great exchange there. So those producers will be going on and at least have a better idea of how to do international co-productions. So we also have more emerging programs. So it's really for different creative roles and at all ages and stages, if you will. They're highly selective, highly competitive, and they really have incredible impact.
Wonderful. Now, there's something called a content summit. So how does this complement the festival?
You want to take it, Robin?
Yeah, no, I mean, as Angela mentioned earlier, I mean, our festival is we show films, and that's why we're a film festival. But I think even more important in some ways, and forgive me, filmmakers, for saying this, is the Content Summit. And this sort of piggybacks in regards to what Angela was saying. The Content Summit is sort of almost an industry retreat where we can get leading decision makers and broadcasters, distributors, funders, producers, unions, all getting together in one building in a small village. I mean, Whistler is, not a very large place, so it's kind of nice to keep everyone contained. We do panel discussion, master classes, one-on-one meetings. It's a place to nurture, once again, new filmmakers, young filmmakers. Some are people who've gone through our programs. Other people are not. They're just, want to be filmmakers or soon to be filmmakers. But it's also a great way to connect emerging filmmakers with potential decision makers for partners down the road. To me, the Content Summit is just such a exciting way to get the industry out here to the festival, and not just engage with the films that we're showing, but also in regards to the participants and having hopefully striking deals while they're here at the festival. It's a very big key part of who we are that I think is very distinctly different than a lot of other festivals.
It's also, it's not just for emerging filmmakers. It is people who have projects in the works. So, the kinds of guests that we're inviting in this year, Aaron Haskett, who runs Lark Productions and has an incredible run of very successful episodic series like Allegiance. She also does the Law and Order franchise out of Toronto. Jen McCarron, who's the CEO of Thunderbird, that just merged with Blue Ant and it was in the news just this last week. Those are the industry key decision makers that will be coming to the festival, really. And the whole industry thrives on innovation and information, and it really is part of an ongoing conversation that we're part of. That, how do I say this? It's like there's a whole string of different film festivals that throughout the year welcome people in and continue the business of the screen industry.
And just a footnote to that. I mean, why, to me, I mean, our industry is changing so rapidly. currently. I mean, it has for a little while, but I think the onset of the digital age has just sort of created a little bit of confusion and chaos out in the marketplace. And as Angela mentioned, not just for new filmmakers, but even experienced filmmakers. So the Content Summit is also a really great place for everyone to sort of collect their thoughts, discuss what the current realities are in the marketplace, and hopefully start projecting where the future can go and come up with solutions that may solve some of the current problems that are popping up. To me, that discussion is so essential and is part of the DNA of every festival, and there should be that sort of content. But I think, for me, prior to joining Whistler, I came out as a participant at the Content Summit and just really massively was enlightened by it. And once again, the beauty of a small village is everyone ends up talking in the conference center where everything takes place for the content center, but you end up running into each other at restaurant A or in the village B, and you continue those conversations. So that's also a unique part of our festival is we're geographically very contained, and therefore, you're going to stumble into person A and person B on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, I was in Whistler in the summer. Yes, you were trapped in one place. Nowhere else to go.
Well,
And it's
I would
also,
never say trapped because
Uh,
there's such a great expanse out there, right? But
yes, that
yes,
is
I know
true.
what you mean. The actual village
Yeah,
itself is small, and it does
yes.
kind of once you walk down one path, you end
Mhm.
up on the same path again eventually. Yeah.
It is a pedestrian village, so it's very,
Yes.
you feel healthy
Yeah.
being out here, that's for sure.
True. Now, what are the biggest challenges of running a festival in today's climate, and how do you stay resilient? Like, there's so many festivals out there that I think about it.
I mean, this conversation could go on for a very long time. But I mean, getting back to what I was saying, the market is changing a lot and
Mm,
shifting. To me, what I'm seeing, at least from the film festival side, is festivals themselves are becoming more organically part of the commercial release strategy of films. Whereas distributors or studios or even filmmakers are seeing us as almost, I use this metaphor as sort of midwives, are bringing their film out into the market,
mhm.
and having that first sort of taste appeal of what the film is how it's going to react to audience A or audience B. That is interesting because you're always, trying to deal with everybody to bring the films in, and everyone has their own particular plans on how they do it. And I think there's a myriad of, whereas it used to be a very straightforward way of releasing a film, go to a festival, put it in movie theaters, then sell it to a broadcaster, et cetera. Release strategies are a lot different now, and I think that's a bit of a challenge for us to try to navigate how filmmakers want to organically enfold a premiere at our festival in regards to what their strategies may be. I think, that's on one level. I'll let Angela dive into some of the others there. But I mean, as I mentioned, this could be an hour-long conversation. So
Mm. I'm not going to dive in.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the future. What excites you about the future of the Whistler Film Festival in the fu near future?
Uh,
Wow,
uh,
that's a big question. One of the things that we are really looking forward to is an even more robust industry program. And every year, I am intrigued by the projects that come through our talent programs and how they're developing and how they're responding to the industry. And it's really every year it is like a new crop of interesting ideas and that. So it's not necessarily from the festival perspective about the future, but really just being excited by the kinds of projects that percolate at the festival and then are realized down the road. Um, Getting back to the festival perspective, who knows what the next 25 years will bring, but we'll be here in 2026 and welcoming filmmakers and industry and our talent program participants again.
Here, here.
Okay, last question. What would you say to a filmmaker considering submitting to the Whistler for the first time?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Easy
I'm
answer.
gonna
All
I'm
right.
gonna go on a bit of a soapbox rant here because I come from a marketing perspective, and I think that anybody who is looking at submitting at a film festival, of course, you have to have an amazing film and an amazing project, but if you can actually invest in the PR, the press kit, the really succinct log line, understanding how to communicate the vision and for the project, that helps so much. If you have visual assets, have those at the ready. And it's been a bit of a rant of mine for many years, but think about your audience. Like, what are you trying to
Yeah.
accomplish by submitting to the festival? Because there's so many different types of festivals out there that we do a little bit of everything. Not everyone does mountain culture, for example. We do documentary in that, so we're actually a bit of a gathering point for that. But if people are looking to submit to other festivals or so, really identify what that niche is of that festival, and really be prepared to answer why this festival and why you at this time.
Yeah, just to add to that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Angela, because I do a lot of discussions, about, with filmmakers on how to get a film to a festival and what festival to go into. And, Angela touched upon all the key points. I mean, the big one is really researching, understanding first and foremost when you make a movie who your audience is going to be is always key. Everyone's going to hope to say everyone, but we know in the reality that's rare. And then understand geographically, and almost even politically, what festivals make the most sense. Take a look at what sort of films they've programmed in the past. It usually gives you a sense if your film is a good fit or not. But also understanding, how playing at one festival may affect your premiership somewhere else. Oh, I mean, one thing I'm very proud of that we dropped this year is that we had a premiership sort of qualifier for Canadian films, that they had to be BC Canadian premieres. And to me, Angela and I had really long discussions about this, and we realized that the pro of just sort of dropping that premiership and allowing all films, whether it played at FIF or otherwise, to come in if it made sense for our festival and resonated with our community. And it also gave us an opportunity to look at a larger palette of films to program, not just necessarily ones that were still available at that time, because we do sit in an odd spot where we're right after VIF, but we're before Sundance. So it's a little tricky sometimes when certain festivals ask for premieres of films. So, we still want premieres, we still embrace them, we still look for them, but we're not nearly as precious about it. We're really, once again, just looking for great quality films that are going to resonate with our audience and will work within the full narrative of what we're really trying to spin over 5 days.
And to anybody who's submitting for a festival, just because it's not accepted doesn't mean that the project isn't great. Like, there's
Yeah.
a lot of great films out there, but it really is limited space, limited slots for that programming, and responding to the audience that is going to embrace a certain style or so. And again, there's so many different, flavors and subjects out there. There's so many great films. So if you get a no from a festival, keep trying. It's there's myriad reasons why that doesn't.
It is truly and honestly the hardest thing for filmmakers, I think, when they get that, I hate the word rejection, but ultimately that's what it is a rejection letter or a phone call, because these are their children. I'll go back to that metaphor, and if you're sort of rejecting their child, it's a very difficult thing to do. Which is once again why, we at our festival, we take it very seriously. And I'm a bit of a sucker for punishment, where I try to reach out to as many people personally before they get a letter, from our organization, just trying to give them a bit of explanation on why they're not in. Now, I can't do that for all, 2,000 films that we're looking at, but I'm hypersensitive that, it's a difficult time for filmmakers not to take it personally, as Angela said, and, graciously sort of accept that, yes, there may be disappointment, but hopefully in the future, once again, they may have an opportunity to come to our village and show their film. And that's why I always want to keep relations really strong with filmmakers, because you never know who's going to have the next great movie.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you very much for spending time with us today, and I hope your festival goes well.
Thank you.
The Artsy Raven is produced by Dark Helix Press. Introduction voiceover by Chris Gorman. Music by Tim Moore. Please access your bonus content on the Patreon website. Thank you very much for listening, and please stay safe.